So what are you doing back?
Well, I sat back and thought about the things we used to do. It really meant a lot to me. You mean a lot to me.
I really mean that much to you?
Girl, you know it's true.
Episode 11. You guys remember? The great Milli Vanilli. The great scam. I tell you, I hear this and it takes me back. It really does take me back. Welcome, the Bobby Kudo Show, everybody. Episode 11. We got double digits, 1-1, and celebrating the wonderful year of 1990, guys. 1990. What could have possibly happened in 1990? I can tell you that these guys, their careers came to an abrupt end in 1990 when their producer decided that he was going to let the cat out of the bag and tell everybody that neither one of these guys were singing. It was all make-believe. You know, they had fooled the world. They'd won ridiculous Grammys. It was, I remember that, guys. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I remember it because I remember watching it on the news. And people were literally collecting like all their CDs. For my younger audience, CDs are a media device, a media platform which we used to listen to music on. But for my more weathered audience, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And they put these things in the street, and I remember they were bulldozing right over them. Like they were. Today you look and you see the stuff with, with Hong Kong and the people protesting in the streets for a good reason. And in the 90s, our biggest problem was Milli Vanilli. These guys were coming for you. It wasn't true, guys. It was all lies. These guys were coming for you, and the most important thing to do was to roll over these things, the CDs with, they were like those trucks they used to lay down blacktop to flatten them out there. I don't even know what they would call. You know what? The name escapes me. Steamroller? Yeah, steamroller. There you go. They steamrolled over the CDs. Guys, welcome everybody to episode 11, the Bobby Kudo Show. I so glad to be here. So excited to get behind the microphone again and just talk to you guys. It's been a rough week. The struggle with the I got a cold, an upper respiratory infection, really. So I'm on some meds, trying to clear that up. So if I sound a little off today, that's really the reason why. I just thought I wasn't feeling well last week. Kind of went through the week, kind of hoping it would work itself out, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And I ended up going to the doctors yesterday, and they gave me some medication. So one of those medications is prednisone, and that makes me feisty. So there are a couple of things I want to talk about today. And I really didn't want to, I didn't want to get too scripted today. I wanted this episode to, I was thinking about it today. If anybody follows on Twitter, on Instagram, I posted a couple of photos. I was out in the yard today. I had cut down a tree last week and had to just, at some point, the rain's coming this week. So, to cut a tree down, I only cut trees down that I know are dead or dying. And then once I get them down, I gotta, anybody who knows, you gotta cut that stuff quick. If you let it sit and it gets wet, the wood gets wet, gets damp, it starts to rot away. So really getting it done quickly is paramount. So I did that today. I spent the day out there. I won't lie to you, it was absolutely beautiful out. I had the music going, and chopped it all up. I couldn't be happy with the way it all came out. I mean, again, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of labor, and I'm a little run down and drawn out right now. But I really wanted to get behind the microphone and just get out to everybody and say hello. And thanks for returning. Thanks for listening. Again, I know I mention it often, but I think it's important for you guys to know as fans. It's just as important as me to know that we're doing great. The listens, the follows, the comments. I'm just so grateful for all of it. And the idea that you guys are willing to give up your time and just listen to some of the things that I have to say, some of the suggestions that I'm making on my end. And, really maybe hopefully applying that stuff and seeing that, you're not in this alone. We've all been there. We've all done it. So again, I just want to say again, welcome to episode 11. Guys, 1990, we're talking about the birth of the internet. So if you weren't born before 1990, you wouldn't realize how exciting this was. But Tim Berners-Lee, he actually proposed at the World Wide Web in November. He proposed outlining a plan for systems that would use hypertext, web pages, browsers, and web servers to share documents across the internet. Berners-Lee had first proposed this idea to colleagues at CERN in Switzerland, who then he worked with him to develop the system. About 2 years before it became functional, his original goal was to make sharing of documents much easier, universal for scientists and educational purposes around the globe. But he acknowledged that he knew that there was a commercial need, that, again, the Facebooks and all of these huge tech companies, Google and you name it, this all birthed from that time. So guys, 1990, the internet's a baby, the internet's young. I think, you know what, anybody who's born in 1990, there you go. What do you think of that? At this point, you're talking that's over 29 years ago. 29 years ago. So it's funny, I was 14, 15 years old. I was in 8th grade. Good memories, man. 8th grade. When I was in middle school, guys, I went to more in middle school. I don't know what it was about middle school, but I think in all of my life and all of my existence to date, I think that time period in my life is where I actually fit in the best. I think some people say high school was their best years, elementary school. For me, it was middle school, man. I'll be honest with you guys. It was great. I felt like I was popular. I had a lot of friends, even friends, people that I know today, people that I hang out with today are still out there, and I remember 8th grade, it was the talent show. They did an 8th grade talent show, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. It was Jay DeSilva, George Cintron, and myself. And, we were kind of into the whole, at the time, guys, we were talking MC Hammer. And then Lanier had come out with this song that was Sending All My Love. If you guys have a second to, I should probably even maybe just play it for you guys so that you can hear the song. So I'm just gonna set this up real quick for you guys, and I'll play it just for a second just so you can hear it. So now imagine, like I said, it was Jay DeSilva, George Cintron, and myself, and here we are dressed. I mean, like, with the crotch pants and the microphone, and I wasn't singing, I was lip syncing. It was a talent show. And as soon as I play the song, you guys are gonna know exactly what it is. Ready? Let me see here. Let me just back this up over here, right over here. All right, here we go. There it is. There it is. And I tell you, we rocked the house, man. We had people up on their feet. We were dancing. We had all choreography. Like, we did the whole thing. We set it all up. We played it right. I had the microphone going, and people were shouting, "Go Jason! Go Derek! Go Bobby! Go George!" That was great, man. It was great. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. What a good time. I can't listen to this anymore. I gotta stop. Sorry. I just wanted to share that with you guys so you could hear it. But what a great moment that was. And the reason I even bring that up is really the basis of the podcast today. And the basis of the podcast today is your brand. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity, and I his name forgives me, and I apologize that I don't remember his name. But what I do remember is I went to a meeting. It was an inspirational kind of meeting. An inspirational speaker, someone that was in that type of business, and it was with Comcast. And I remember it was myself and a couple of the supervisors and management. And Comcast they would do this often. They would rent out these venues, like I believe this one, it was like an arena kind of stadium arena, and we'd all show up, and they would talk about the state of the company. They would talk financials. They would talk how the company was doing, what some of the future goals were for the company, and then they would always like bring in like this inspirational speaker. And I remember this guy came in. And usually getting into these things, it kind of takes a minute because you kind of you're listening to like a lot of the company information. You know what I mean? So you finally get to this point where this individual comes out, you kind of half asleep, and you kind of got to perk yourself up. They do like the break thing, go get a drink, come back, and this guy was speaking, and his main topic of what he was speaking about was your brand. And right away, as soon as he mentioned it, it sparked my attention, and it got my attention. And I said to myself, "Gee, let me really pay attention to what this guy's saying." And quite honestly, it was inspiring. And I took a lot of it with me, and that I still apply today. And really, it comes down to as simple as the fact of, one of the exercises was if you had a piece of paper and a pencil in your hand right now, and you had to think, somebody, it can't be like a close friend, maybe like an acquaintance, somebody that you see once in a while. If you were to pick that person in your mind right now, that acquaintance, maybe it's somebody at the convenience store, maybe it's a family member that you don't see very often. If you were to just think of a word that they would pick to describe you based on your interactions and your relationships with that person over your course of time, like as long as you have known them and you've interacted with them, if they were going to write down one word that would best describe you, what word would that be? And really, that is the fundamental, that is the nucleus of your brand. What do people think about you when you walk away? What do people say about you when they speak about you when you're not there? Whether it be in a personal capacity, whether it be in a professional capacity, what are people saying about you? How does your brand represent you as an individual, and does that bring you value? Because whether you like it or not, you have a brand. We all have a brand. As soon as you bring or think of someone in your mind, you immediately feel an emotion, and that emotion is the brand of that individual. Anybody who knows me, I can pretty much guess, or I would be in the ballpark of where you or what you might think of me based on the relationship that I had with you through the course of our relationship. So, with that said, how do you apply that to your everyday life? If I was to say, hey, listen, ask your wife if she had to pick one word to describe you, what word would that be? I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to ask her, hey, or your significant other. It doesn't matter, husband, wife. It doesn't matter. Just pick someone and ask them. Say, if you had to pick one word to describe me, what word would that be? Is it silly? Is it angry? Is it happy? Is it dumb? Is it smart? Like what exactly is it that they're going to say? Because that right there is what shapes who you are. I know it sounds insignificant and it doesn't sound like it's relevant, but guys, in reality of everything, it is the most relevant thing that you have is your brand. You know, when you present yourself as an individual at any capacity, at any place, how does that represent? And I only really ask you guys to think about that because for me, I think about that often, and I apply that logic and that thought to everything I do. Like even to my, you know, the work that I do at my current position. What's our brand as a department? You know, as you know, I have a group of people that I manage. What is our brand? Are we known as the group of lazy, no good for nothing? You know, they pay those guys to do nothing all day group, or are we outstanding? Are we responsive? Are we caring? Are we efficient? Do we bring value? These are all words to me that are brand worthy. Are the brand that I want to associate myself with. And it's funny that, you know, we opened up with Milli Vanilli because if you know anything about Milli Vanilli, they were probably the biggest scam you would ever hear of in your life. So these guys, they start recording music in the studio, and I will tell you, if you listen to their music, the Milli Vanilli stuff, it's so catchy. It has such a catchy beat to it, and people loved it. People loved it. And I remember seeing it, and I saw it live. And there was two of the guys, Milli and Vanilli, and the one, he came out on stage, and I think they were doing a show for MTV, and something happened. And and they're in the middle of performing this song, and I think it was "Girl, You Know It's True," and they were doing it, and then the CD skipped. Remember I mentioned CDs earlier, guys? CDs were like the most terrible source of media. I mean, especially when it first came out. I mean, now you can get a CD, and you know the layers you can burn into it, and the idea of it skipping are almost slim and none. But back then, it was such a terrible design, and everything that you had, like it was just scratched and. It was terrible. So the CD skips in the middle of this performance, and I remember I watched it live, and he ran off the stage, and then shortly after that, they reported that they made the announcement. The producer announced it. So what was their brand after that moment? I mean, these guys were just done. There was nothing left for them. You know, these guys were on top of the world. They were getting Grammys all over the place. I mean, imagine the life that they were living. And then all of a sudden you find out that, you know, everything that they've produced has been a lie and it's fake. So they went on. I know they went on, and they actually attempted to sing, and they attempted to do some recordings. If you guys ever have a chance, there's actually a documentary about it. I remember watching it, and it was absolutely fascinating to see the way that these guys were taken advantage of, because it really, that's what it was. It was like this corporate, and that's what they didn't want you to see, was that it was actually the record company that took these guys and, you know, obviously created this whole fake I don't know, persona for these guys, and then of course the vocals were coming from somewhere else, from someone who didn't look anything like they did. So to be honest with you, like, I don't even understand why. Look, I don't know. I guess would it matter? Would it matter? Would you be offended? I don't know that I'd be offended. I wouldn't really give a shit. But would I still listen? I don't know. But I know it was enough that their life after that was terrible. They both like struggled. They tried to perform, and they tried all kinds of different things. I think one guy ended up working at like McDonald's or Burger King. And then shortly after, I believe one of them threw himself off a balcony and committed suicide. It was a terrible, terrible story, terrible tragedy. But again, I just, when you talk about your brand, and when you talk about, how important that is to who you are. You think about it, you commit something like this, and then how do you salvage your brand as an individual, as a person? You know what I mean? You're always going to be known as that guy that was part of Milli Vanilli who lied. You know what I mean? So, what is it? I don't know. I only throw that out there for you guys to decide whether or not you think that's something that you would like to apply in your life. I know that me and my professional life, that definitely that is something that is paramount for me. It is very important. I value my brand. Even here, the Bobby Kudo Show. That is a portion of my brand. This is just an extension of who I am as an individual. It doesn't solely represent me as an individual. The way that I present myself at work, the way that I present myself in public, the way that I present myself at sporting events. Those are the important thing, because I mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago that, I had a meltdown at, one of AJ's games, and was quite vocal about the inaccuracies of the officiating. Anybody who heard me there, anybody who was there who didn't know me as Bobby Kudo, probably said I was an asshole. They probably said, look at this guy. You know what I mean? There's another out of control parent who can't control his emotions, who's screaming and yelling and making irrational comments. And that was me. And again, it's those moments that you have to really stop and think for a second. If I had been or was wearing, say, the Bobby Kudo Show t-shirt, what if, someone that was sitting on the side of that person said, yeah, I know that. He's Bobby Kudo. And, now that person will go, I'll probably never see that person ever again. But anytime that person ever sees my name or my brand for that matter, I might never see them again, but they might see my brand somewhere. And the first thing they're going to think of is that, hey, that guy's an asshole. Because that's the information that was fed to them. So I caution everyone to really think about that and think about the things that you do, and the people that you do them to. I perfect example, working in the cable industry, you see people every day. You see different people every single day. Every single day you guys go and you go do your routes, you go do your boards, and you see someone completely different every day. Every time you leave that person's home, what is their impression of you as an individual? Were you helpful? Were you thoughtful? Were you courteous? Were you systematic? Did you get the problem fixed properly? Like, what is that? Like, if they were gonna call in to a customer service number, right, that you were there, what would they say about you? Would they have said, well, the guy was here and he kind of just did nothing, didn't care about me, didn't listen to what I have to say, and just kind of walked out the door? Or is it going to be something where along the lines of, he was courteous, he tried his best, and he did tell me that there was an opportunity that this might happen. Again, I'm only using that as the example because that's really, when you're in that type of work, when you're in the service industry, you're coming in contact with different people every day. You're going to see different faces every day. Currently, my current job, outside of me bringing in like a vendor or meeting someone new, like an engineer or some sort, typically I see the same people daily. I tend to work with the same people every day. So that, to me, but nonetheless, all the more reason, now I see these people every day. It only means that they have more exposure to me as an individual and my actions, the way that I speak and, things that I say. Do I follow through? Am I just saying things and not following through what I'm saying? Again, these are the things that you have to be mindful when you have a brand or you want to have a brand. I will tell you that, if you're going to be successful in this world, I know I'm not the first guy speaking about this. You can go online and there are just heaps and bounds and loads of information about building a brand, keeping a brand, and really just maybe getting information in regards to starting a brand. But me personally, I think that brand starts every day when you get out of bed every day. When you get out of your bed and you put socks on and you head out, that's where it starts. It starts with your family. It starts with your kids. You may not know it, but your kids, you are branded by your kids, and you're branded by your spouse. And that is I can guarantee you with absolute certainty. And you know what? Your brand could change every day. I know that my family right now, my brand has changed in my house. I am on prednisone. I know that my wife told my kids, listen, your dad's taking prednisone. He's going to be a little edgy. Yep. So that's my brand right now, is edgy. That brand will change once I get through the medication and I get back to myself again. But everyone knows to be kind of on that cautious. So right now I'm carrying that brand. I'll go to work tomorrow and you know what? Someone may notice that I might be a little edgy or I might not be as happy or engaging as I normally would. And that doesn't mean that anything's changed. It just means that, this is who I am today. This is my brand today. This is who I choose to be. So keep that in mind, guys. And sometimes, I hate to use cliches, but, you really, really, it's true. You only get, one chance to make a first impression. You really do. There's no question about that. When you meet people for the first time, that's an impression. You may not meet that person again, and what they think of you when they see you, although you may say, you know what, you should care, because that person is always connected to the next person, and they're connected to the next person. You know, it was funny. I worked in the cable industry for quite some time, and I will remember that I had a situation one time where I had just entered the third product line, and when I was doing internet and we got into the Wi-Fi and we were doing the Wi-Fi in the home, it was a fairly new product, and it was a lot of manual setting up the SAS server. Like a lot of the servers, you had to type that stuff in manually. And I remember there was one individual in particular that was pretty good at it. He was a smart guy. He kind of knew, he was MCSE certified, Cisco certified. I mean, the guy had like Windows certifications everywhere. So I remember asking him, "Hey man, I got to go do this. Do you think you could give me a hand?" And he looked at me and he said, "I'll tell you what, buddy, shit rolls downhill." Oh, and that's how he left it. And I actually looked at him like, "Really?" And yeah, and shit rolls downhill is kind of where he left me. So long story short, I ended up taking that with me and I ended up going. But wouldn't you know, it wasn't shortly after that, probably a year later, that individual that told me that shit rolled downhill was now reporting to me. So with that said, what my response to that shit rolls downhill is, the feet you step on today may be attached to the ass you got to kiss tomorrow. And this was a perfect example of that. So I always caution you guys that, again, that individual's brand with me was formed at that moment where I knew I needed some help or assistance, and that individual looked at me and told me that shit rolled downhill. I kind of knew what they are and what their brand was. And I will tell you, to this day, I've never forgotten that. It's something that stayed with me all of my time, because I always have to remember that people sometimes are going to say no. Although you may be thinking that, you're going to ask for help and someone's going to be like, "Yeah, I'll help you out." You know what? There are times where someone's just going to look at you like this individual looked at me, and told me that shit rolls downhill. So long story short, I will tell you that in my course of my career and while I was there, he was a long tenured employee and he ended up walking out the door. He ended up, what a messed up situation that was. Excuse me, just took a drink. So the 90s, guys, let's talk a little bit about more of that. And look, we're talking about the brand, but I think just some really important stuff here that happened in the 90s I'd like to just bring up real quick. I tell you, there are many, many leaders that have lived throughout history. I think a couple like Gandhi, people that are just really have influenced the world or done things outside of themselves. And I think personally, in my own opinion, and I hope you'll agree with me, that I feel have absolutely changed the course of history. I will tell you that when we watched, we're a big soccer family. In case you haven't noticed, I brought it up a couple of times, but it was 2004, and FIFA World Cup was Johannesburg, South Africa, and if you know anything about South Africa. You know about Nelson Mandela, and I tell you, he was shortly before he passed away, and they weren't sure he was going to try to make it to a match. He ended up making it to the match, and it was he passed away shortly after that. But during February of 1990, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in South Africa after 27 years of imprisonment. 27 years of imprisonment, guys, in jail for what you believe in. 27 years for what you believe in, fighting for what you believe in, for your people, for what you believed in, and he did it. Mandela had been one of the prominent leaders in the anti movement, so he joined the movement in 1944. That was the year my mom was born, and soon became the deputy of national president, the oldest black political organization in South Africa, the African National Congress, the ANC. In 1964, he was imprisoned for his involvement in a preliminary branch of the ANC that had been retaliating against the government for an attack on peace processes. After Mandela was released, he became the head of the anti-movement and helped negotiate its end. In 1994, he became the first black president of South Africa after being elected in the first multiracial elections. I mean, guys, can you say enough about Nelson Mandela? I ask you all, listen, don't do the whole Hollywood thing and don't watch the movie. If you're gonna do the research and really read about the amazing things that this man did. Literally just shaped a nation. A lot of oppression, and anybody who's going to spend 27 years of their life, and not just life. I mean, he was in prison for 27 years for the reasons that are right. And all in all, you hear about these things and these sacrifices that these great leaders make, and unfortunately, they usually end up in tragedy. And the great end of this is that he was able to he was released, and he was a president, and he was a great president. So hats off to Nelson Mandela in the 1990s, man. That was just fantastic. Again, you talk about brand. You think Nelson Mandela, and it's absolutely flawless. Absolutely flawless. It really is. I mean, I just go in there, guys. I mean, again, I'm a strong believer. You can't make scrambled eggs without cracking some eggs. So there are times that you have to fight fire with fire, and in this case, I believe that all of it was justified. What else happened in the 90s? Let's see. Space shuttle Discovery, Hubble telescope. We take that for granted, right? That went into space, and the funny thing is that went to space and then it broke, and they had to fix it. Yeah, but they got it fixed, and it's since been brought like amazing. If you have a chance to see it, the amazing images that it sends back from space are just unbelievable, phenomenal. Microsoft releases Windows 3.0. Wasn't that terrible? I mean, back then people were waiting in line. I actually have a version of Windows 95 on floppy, not on floppy, on like 3.5 disc. Imagine that. What else? A 16 megabyte chip is shown for the first time. 16 megabyte. Guys, can I tell you a secret? I'm going to tell you a secret. My first computer, I'm not, no joke. My first computer was a 66 megahertz. Yeah, not a gig. Megahertz. 66 megahertz computer. And I with a 56K modem. And I can tell you guys that if you got nothing to do and you want to spend about 4 hours trying to get onto the internet to look at really horrible, like just terrible GUIs and images and GIFs about nothing, get yourself a copy of Windows 3 and a 66 megahertz computer, and just plan about a week of doing absolutely nothing, because that's all you're going to be doing. The first case, this is 1990. The first case of AIDS is tracked back to 1959. That was scary, huh? The whole AIDS thing. I mean, thank God today we did the medical advances, and now there's actually a vaccine. I don't want to say vaccination. I think it's a medication that you can take to help prevent HIV and AIDS. But that was what a mess, man. That was a mess. I'm actually embarrassed to think about that time and how people reacted to Ryan White. That was such a tragedy. Ryan White, in case you guys don't know, Ryan White, young man who needed a blood transfusion. And really people thought like that AIDS and HIV was a gay disease. That if you were homosexual and you practiced in intercourse, that's how you got AIDS. Shortly, it wasn't much longer after that, people realized that, listen, you can get AIDS a lot of ways, and by needles and just changing of fluids and just having unprotected sex. But they really, I mean, I know Elton John got involved, the Ryan White Foundation, Elton John AIDS Foundation, and he really he rescued that boy. He did. That child was being ridiculed and wasn't allowed to attend school, and just again. I don't want to pass judgment on anybody, because, what we know today is what we know, and what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. And, if somebody told me that there was a child in school, in my child's school, that might have a terminal disease that might be infectious to them, it's easy to sit here and be like, hey, yeah, I support you. But it's another thing when you got to, as a parent, you got to put your child, or you got to make the decision to put your child in a situation that might not be safe, or something may happen. So, it was a tough time. Like I said, if you guys Google this stuff, man, you'll see it. It was what they did. They threw him out of school. They wouldn't let him go into school. And then Elton John, and it was, all in all, he ended up passing away. But it was not in vain. There was a lot of light shed on the disease and what we didn't know about it, what we knew about it. And I believe, that it only helped and paved the way, for guys like Magic Johnson who ended up with AIDS and HIV. And he still has HIV. And that guy has had HIV, if it hasn't been 20, 30 years that he's had HIV. And he's fine. He's doing just great. So again, AIDS, you know what I mean? Not knowing and now knowing, and the advances that we have now, and the idea of somebody contracting AIDS, normally it's not something you contract. It depends really on, I believe, your social habits and what you choose to put in your body. But I think for the most part, I think most people are aware, and just sexually transmitted disease in general, I think we're much, much safer than we were years ago. The depletion of the ozone layer is discovered by above the North Pole. Oh, excuse me, guys. I apologize for that. So they discovered the ozone layer, and if you guys remember, Aquanet was the leading hairspray that everyone was using. I used it. Everybody used it. And if you remember the hair in the 1990s, I mean, guys, we're talking hair. Fly traps, just Google 1990 hair, and you'll see Aquanet was literally liquid cement. You sprayed in your hair. You could put your hair in your. My wife had some big hair. As a matter of fact, I think, you know what? I think I just came across her yearbook. I will have to take some pictures of her yearbook. Some of the people in her yearbook, and post the pictures so you guys can see what the hair looked like. But I only bring that up because they talk about the ozone layer and the CFCs that come out of the cans, and I can tell you that pretty much I believe that ozone tear right there was caused specifically by the 90s and Aquanet. I don't doubt that for 1 second. The first in-car satellite navigation system is sold by Pioneer. Imagine that, 1990 navigation system. That's amazing. I know that the government had created GPS, and they had the things in space for the longest time. They wouldn't let anybody use them, but I think they upgraded to another system. And then when they upgraded to that new system, they gave the GPS satellites to use for the common man, for us. And then there you go. Pioneer did it. They did it in 1990. I didn't realize it was that soon. So you had, 1990 was a big year, guys. You had the internet, the birth of the internet, right? Windows 3.0. So Windows was growing, right? How crazy is that, right? Seriously, that's some progress for man right there. Sci-Fi Channel started transmitting. Home Alone, that's a classic right there. Home Alone, everybody's watched Home Alone. Dances with Wolves, Pretty Woman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved that movie. I did. I loved it. It was like the puppets. It was fantastic. It was my favorite movie. The Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery. That was fantastic. And Denzel Washington. That was really, really good. Is it Hugh Jackman? Is it Hugh Jackman, I think? I apologize. Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Die Hard 2. The first one was the best. The second one was okay. I'll give you the second one. It was okay, but the first one was the best one. Dick Tracy, that was a bomb. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Edward Scissorhands. Has anybody watched that? You know what? I think I watched maybe like half of it. Not my kind of movie. And then The Godfather Part 3. My wife would divorce me if I didn't tell you guys. She loves the Godfather series. I'll be honest with you guys. I think it's drawn out. I like The Departed. I thought that was really good, start and finish. The Godfather movies, man, they're just so long and they're just so drawn out and it's so traditional. I get it. I get it, Scorsese. I get the whole thing and I understand you're trying to portray it, but I was a fan of The Sopranos. I loved The Sopranos. I thought that was fantastic. The way they ended the show, I thought was stupid. Gandolfino there, and God rest his soul. But I'll tell you what, I enjoyed watching Sopranos. So it's not that I don't like mob movies. I really do. Ray Liotta, Goodfellas. I love those movies. But The Godfather, to me, I just thought it was drawn out and way too long. I come clean with that stuff because I tell Rachel that. And if I didn't come clean with it, she'd call me out. Let's see. Popular musicians for that year. Tears for Fears. Janet Jackson. Black Cat, Bon Jovi, The Blaze of Glory. That was a good jam. Rod Stewart was terrible. Depeche Mode, guys. Do you remember Depeche Mode? I love Depeche Mode. Did you guys like Depeche Mode? I hope you guys like Depeche Mode. I would think that you did. You know, Depeche Mode was fantastic. The Blues Brothers, Garth Brooks, 1990. Guys, I could tell you stories about Garth Brooks. You know, I find that, you know, I've been kind of realized it today when I'm, you know, when you're in the woods chopping wood by yourself, you realize things. And I realized that, you know, my memory, a lot of my memory is tagged with music. You know, I tend to think of times in my life, and somehow I always remember the music that was on the radio in that course of time, and I can associate a lot of it. And I'm sure you guys do too. But maybe it's just, you know, for me, it's more vibrant. I do these podcasts with you guys, and when I play the music up front, it really is relevant to me, and I have some special or some type of moment or memory with that song that I want to share with you guys. So when I think of Garth Brooks, man, I mentioned Derick in the last episode, Derick Santos, and Garth Brooks had come out. Phew, man, we played that over. We were doing Bridge Demolition, so I was kind of hanging out with him quite a bit. You know, not to mention we were driving, you know, to where we needed to go, like, you know, 15 hours to Virginia, you know, to go to work for the week. It was crazy. But we spent a lot of time together. But I remember Garth Brooks and, you know, going clubbing and, you know, I probably shouldn't admit this, but, you know, we would literally get completely shit-faced. You know, I'm surprised we even made it home sometimes. And I apologize to anybody who gets offended by it, but I mean, we used to drink hard. I mean, there were some nights I remember Garth Brooks would be on the radio. I should say Garth Brooks on the radio, and Derick would be behind the wheel working the pedals, and I'd be steering with my left hand, and, you know, we'd have Jay or somebody in the back seat, you know, telling us, "Hey, watch out, car!" I mean, it was that bad. Like, it took like 3 or 4 people to drive a vehicle. I mean, we had a lot of fun, man. We really did. Anytime we ever got together, there was a while there where there was probably 5 of us that we were going out, we were clubbing, we were having a good time, and everywhere we went was like kind of VIP status. You know, Derick knew a lot of people, and a lot of people knew Derick. So anywhere you went with him was always quite the experience, and I had some amazing experiences with him, including watching him smash this guy's head through the back of a Land Rover, which was, I think that was pretty much when I decided that maybe I should find some new friends. We were clubbing. If anybody remembers Club Oxygen in Providence, we'd come out, and somebody said something, and Derick was always looking for a fight, and this kid, I mean, today would be, again, I say it would be helicopters and, you know, SWAT. But this guy got loud with him, and it didn't take him much, man. And he picked him up and he threw him, and he smashed his head right through I'll never forget, it was a Land Rover. Broke the back window, the glass. And Jay, you listened to the podcast. He was there. He remembers that stuff. Red Hot Chili Peppers, great band. They've been through a lot too, man, and I still listen to them. You know, I actually debated I was actually thinking of maybe putting them in this episode as my intro. But you know what? I said maybe I'll wait a little bit. I thought, I thought what we did today was absolutely fitting. I think it was great, especially based on the idea of what we're talking about today, and that's really is your brand. And again, Billy Joel, Phil Collins, Vanilla Ice. So there you go. This is a perfect example. Vanilla Ice. When you think of Vanilla Ice, right? What do you think of, guys? Right? What do you think of? I tell you, I think of a poor thing. I think somebody who might have been a trendsetter, sold out. I know Suge Knight got a hold of him and did what they did, but to me, I think he's a sellout, and I think what he did was kind of shitty. So to me, that's the brand. I mean, I know he's been on a couple of shows. I think he was on Big Brother, whatever it is. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, the guy's a bozo. And I mean, really, you think the guy was, me, when he came out, I was like, wow, trendsetter. Like, I was kind of, there really was no white rappers. So when he came out and he started rapping, it was pretty cool to see it. And I know the term wigger was being thrown around when he was, and I never really understood it, to even turn a word like that and put a W on it, and what do you, I never, that part I never got. But I'll tell you what, man, I think although he was corny and sappy, would Eminem have existed without Vanilla Ice? Really? Because, when I think of Eminem, regardless of anything he's done, when I think of his brand as an individual, I think that he's an individual that stayed true to himself. and to his beliefs through his whole career. I don't know that he's ever sold out. It's not as far as I can tell. So here you got two individuals, and when you think of their brands, I think of the Eminem brand, and I think it's a lucrative one. I think, one, I'm a fan. I enjoy listening to him. I enjoy listening to his music. I think he's very talented. I think he's somebody that started from the ground up, so can appreciate the space that he's in. So perfect. You know what I mean? Like, that's a great brand. Aerosmith, Aerosmith right away. As soon as I say it, you picture that logo, you picture the band, Steven Tyler, American Idol. If you didn't know him, I mean, to be that smart, to have, again, you know what? It was funny. And I thought of it earlier today, and I was kind of hoping I would remember to bring it up in the podcast. And Rock Band, guys. Yeah, Rock Band and Guitar Hero. What amazing inventions. They were fantastic. The only problem, obviously, with these things is licensing. Everybody's so greedy. They don't want to share the music. They don't want to. Everybody wants to make a profit, and at the end of the day, it ended up ruining it. But I'll tell you what, we bought every single Rock Band. We bought every single Guitar Hero, and we jammed out, man. We were Cardboard Curtain. That was the name of our band, Cardboard Curtain. It was me on the lead vocals, my son AJ on the guitar, my nephew on the bass, and Megan was our drummer. And I'll tell you what, man, we were 5-starring it left and right. But the best part of it all was that we were singing songs and we were playing songs that my kids had no idea. Leonard Skinner, Rolling Stones, Nirvana, the police. Like, they would have never known who these bands are. And it was funny because the other day I was driving and the Rolling Stones came on, and AJ's like, "Oh, the Rolling Stones." And I'm like, at first it took me a second to be like, "Well, how do you know? How do you know it's the Rolling Stones?" And then he's like, "Remember Guitar Hero?" And it right away it all came back to me. And I think of how great that was to introduce and just show these younger generation like what that music was like, and to almost be a part of it. Like, granted, you're only hitting buttons and you're clicking the thing, but it felt like you were a part of it. So there you go, guys. Another two great brands that I think are fantastic, and unfortunately, just for whatever reason, they can't work it out. They just cannot work it out. So unfortunately, that just doesn't happen anymore. Cher was still playing. In the 1990s. I'm all set with Cher. Mariah Carey and the B-52s. You guys remember the B-52s, right? Love Shack. So that was 1990s, guys. That's the stuff that was going on in the 90s, and I'm glad I was able to apply some of that with what the message I was trying to deliver today. And again, I hope that it's somewhat helpful to you. I hope that you guys can take some of this with you and apply it to whatever it is that you do, and really be conscious of that. If you hand somebody a business card, that your name is on that business card, that is your brand. What are you looking to accomplish? I know I have friends that are entrepreneurs, and they have their own side businesses, and I think of Stevie and what he does with the gun safety and the Second Amendment, and his company, and he's got a brand, and he presents himself, and I trust his brand, and I trust what he's doing. So again, these are just perfect examples of people and individuals that apply these brands in ways that expresses what they like and what they do. So what's the message today for you? I challenge you guys. I do. I challenge you guys to go out there, and I challenge you guys to find out what is your brand? What is when people think of you, what are they thinking? What are they saying? That's the stuff that you have to really ask yourself. And again, I caution you all, it takes that one time, and once you do it, you got to do it right. So just take that with you, guys. Take that with you, because I find that it's very, very important. I think that it means a lot in life. I think that it can take you in a direction that you might have not thought about, and maybe just shine some light on you. Like, maybe you have an experience with someone, you can't figure out how or why it went the way that it did. Maybe stop and think about maybe something that, that just maybe might have happened in the past, or is there something that the person that introduced you to them said, "Hey, listen, he's a good guy, but just don't count on him for a date, because he's never on time. So is that your brand, that you're never on time, that you never show up when you're going to show up? Is hey, listen, it's funny. Hey, Bobby, Rachel, what are you guys doing? You guys want to, we're having a party? Oh yeah, we'll be there. And then a month comes. Oh yeah, Bobby, they never show up. They never come to our parties. So that's our brand, right? As a couple, we have a brand that we never show up. Is that the brand that you want? No, of course not. You always want to have some type of good feeling about what you are, and what people think of you. I'd like to think that people count on me, and people know that they can reach out to me if they need to. But ultimately, I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. You really can. And when you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, when you think of Tom Brady, TB12, these are individuals that have taken. When you think of the Bobby Kudo Show, when you think of these brands, really what these are people. Myself, Tom Brady, Cristiano Ronaldo. We're individuals, we're people, and although I would never compare myself to Cristiano Ronaldo or Tom Brady, they are very extremely talented athletes. But what they've done is they haven't created a podcast. What Cristiano does is he plays soccer, and he's really, really good at it, and that's his brand. And he's able to take that brand and then merchandise everything around it: shoes, clothes, perfumes, food, you name it, he does it. Tom Brady takes it even a step further. Tom Brady does the same, but he also has the TB12 method. He's got the food line. He's got the gyms. He's got the whole pliability philosophy. And when you think of those brands, how powerful they are and how vivid they are. I can't speak for everybody. I don't know if you don't live in Massachusetts. Tom Brady's probably not that relevant to you, and TB12 is probably not that relevant to you. But if you live here, it's pretty obvious. You know those brands. It's nothing. You know what? You can drive down the road. I don't care where you are, even if you're in Wyoming. If you can drive down the road and you see those golden arches, that's a brand. That's McDonald's. You know what it is. You see that Coca-Cola logo, you know what it is. Those are the brands. You know what you're getting. They're quality brands. They're high-end brands. They're visible brands, and you know them from everywhere. You look at the Amazon logo. That's a brand. Is that who you are? Are you Amazon? Are you the McDonald's? Are you the Cristiano Ronaldo's? Are you the Tom Brady's? I say yes, you are. But you have to build that brand. You have to find out what your niche is, and you got to get it out there, and you got to do it. For me, I've always had the gift of gab, and I've always had something to say. So the idea of podcasting to me, although it's been around for a long time, I was never, I'll be honest with you guys, I was never in the mental space. It's funny, I was talking about it today. I have never been in the mental space where I could sit down and have a full out 1 hour conversation, with you. I could never clear my mind enough to make the space to have these thoughts in my head outside of what I was doing, work related. There was really no space for me to just kind of think about my own thoughts and my own ideas. And I've told you guys, in the past that I'm in a different place now than I was not too long ago. And now all of those thoughts and all of those ideas that were absolutely consuming me, they're no longer there. I don't really, it doesn't, I now have space and time to have a conversation and to sit down and write a note and think about things. And maybe it is just sitting back and just kind of digesting what I just ate or what I just drank. Those are the moments that now I appreciate more than ever before, because you don't realize you don't have them until they're gone. Then you realize that these things are just kind of just flying by. I hate to even bring it up on the 15th. It was a year ago that I put down the greatest companion that I've ever known. My German Shepherd Sadie, she was with us for 15 years. Jesus, when I think about her, I almost, it's tough to kind of to keep my emotions in, because she was the most amazing companion. She was always there, no matter where I was, no matter what I was doing. If I was in the house, she was in the house. If I was outside, she was outside. It didn't matter. I could be standing in the rain, and she would want to stand in the rain with me. I could be standing on hot coals, and she would lay herself down to for me, anything. She was just amazing, and probably one of the most amazing energies I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing. And I'm still a little shaken up and heartbroken about it, but I'll always remember her, and I know that she had the best life she could ever have, or any not to any of the German shepherds out there, no offense, but she really did live the good life. And I like to think about the good times we had together, and I like to think of how much peace she brought me in a time in my life that I couldn't find any. She was always the one to, every day I walked her 2 miles every day. It was whether it rained, whether it snowed, or whether it snowed 10 feet, and it didn't make a difference. She would drive me to do it every day, and I did. And I believe a lot of my health and my clear mind comes from that, from just getting outside and taking that 2 mile walk, and just clearing your mind and enjoying that process. So I invite you all, take that time to yourself, guys. Take that minute to digest your thoughts and your ideas, and realize that this is, again, I hate to keep saying it over and over again, but you only get so many summers, and now winter's on its way in. What didn't you do this summer that you wanted to do? Are you going to do it next summer? Because it's too late this year. And then you wait till next year, and then it's too late again. So I caution you all to just be very careful, and remember that time is the one commodity that you cannot purchase or you cannot stop. It continues to go on and on and on and on. And before you know it, you're looking, and you're in your 40s, and there's a lot of stuff that you didn't do that you wanted to do, and quite honestly, your body just ain't gonna let you do it anymore. So take that opportunity to do it now. If you can do it now, do it now. I always tell you guys, if you can say yes, say yes. If you never say no, you will always live a fruitful and fulfilled life. Just take that chance, take that opportunity, and remember how important it is to present yourself in a way that is going to be not only beneficial to you, but I think it will be prosperous for you as well. You can do anything in this world. You can do whatever you please. There are people in this world, like, for example, let's just say Stephen King. Stephen King is an award-winning author. He writes many books. The Stand, just to name a couple. And what do we know about Stephen King? Nothing. The only thing we know about Stephen King is that he writes really, really good horror novels. And that, a lot of these movie companies and networks buy his movies and I should say his stories, and they put them on the screen. So what we know about Stephen King is that he's very talented at what he does, and he's prosperous at it. So again, what's that brand? Well, again, I don't really know the guy, but I can tell you his product is really good. So for me, I think he's got a good brand. So remember that, guys. It's just, what is it? What is it about you today, tomorrow, when you're listening to this? I'm not sure where you are or what you're doing, but, ask yourself that question right now. What is my brand? Can you answer that question? Because you should be able to answer that question with one word. What's your brand? And again, that brand can change depending on the day, but overall, there's going to be that one similarity in everything of what you are, and that's the core of who you are and what you're being, and that is your brand. So, I take that with you, and try to just apply that to your everyday, guys. We're already an hour into the podcast, and I want to just really get into that today. It hit me hard today that the brand and I although I will tell you guys, I warned you beforehand. I am a little tired today, a little drawn down, did a lot, and this cold doesn't help much. But I thought it was important to get that message out today. I thought it was important to share that thought and that idea that was fresh in my head. And like I said, going back to that speaker, I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, when I remember when he passed out those sticky notes and he asked everybody to, to write down a word that would best describe them and their brand. I kind of struggled with it. I didn't, not because I say I kind of struggled with it. I struggled with it. I didn't write anything down, guys, because I didn't know. I really didn't know. And I didn't know what it was. And you might not know what that is today. But I can tell you today, I know what my brand is. I know what I am. I'm very, very certain and confident of what my brand is. And for me, I'll tell you all what it is. And then we're probably gonna just kind of walk out of this. I don't want to keep you guys. I know I've had a couple of really long episodes, but my brand is legacy. That's my. If I had to pick one word and write it down, I think to me, legacy is paramount. It's very important to me. It drives me, and I think to myself, one day I won't be here. And what will carry on? What will carry the message? What will carry the brand? And to me, it's legacy. I feel in my heart, I feel in my mind that if I can leave something behind, if I can leave some type of legacy, whether it be for you, again, I'm humbled to think that maybe some of you out there are taking my advice and taking some of the things that I'm saying and applying them to your life, and hopefully it helps you find what you're looking for, because to me, these are some of the things that have helped me and define who I am, and help me realize who I am and where my priorities lie. So again, I invite you all to come on this journey with me and think about these things. Episode 11, here we are. Again, we opened up the episode with a couple of individuals whose brand is completely whacked out. And, we talked about a couple of really great ones, like the Nelson Mandelas, the Tom Brady's and Cristiano Ronaldo's, not to put those guys in the same category with one another, but just in the spirit of brand, I will do that. So that's pretty much, that was pretty much the episode, guys. I didn't want to, go too far off, and I really just wanted to drop a really nice episode. Nothing too crazy, just a little kind of public service announcement, would you say? It was something that came to me, and even although it's been like a crazy week, I actually was out of work one day, try to make up for that, and it was a crazy work. You know what? What a crazy week at work. And I always say it, it only takes one. It only takes one, guys. I'm always bragging about my job and how great it is and how happy I am. It's just, I shouldn't say anything because it's like, and all of a sudden something happens, and I love my job. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with. But there's always that one. You know what I mean? And there's always that one that always has to stir the pot, and always, it's always something. It's always something. And I say to myself, I try to think that I tend to focus on the things that are very important, especially momentary stuff. You know what I mean? Because I think in the world of today, you have to deal with things right away. I don't think you can let things simmer or stew. But when you got individuals that just want to make things difficult to just make things difficult, and the next thing you know, they can't even handle their own shit, and they're messing with your shit, and it just frustrates you. And unfortunately, I ended the week last week that way, and it kind of, and I hate to say it, but just a bad taste in my mouth going into the weekend, and you're going to have to go to work tomorrow, and that you're gonna have to confront the situation when you get to work tomorrow, and that's the worst part about it, is knowing that tomorrow, rather than me focusing on my duties as a manager and the things that I have to do, I now have to deal with this, let's say, for a lack of a better word, this fluff shit on the side. That really just shouldn't be an issue in what I'm doing. It's just an individual involving themselves in things that they probably shouldn't, or probably just don't understand. But it is what it is, and I'm sure we'll work it all out, and things will be fine on Tuesday. But nonetheless, just to kind of sleep on that and to be thinking about it today, and not looking forward to it tomorrow, guys. So I apologize. I hate to bring out on a low note, but I just, it is. It's always one, man. And I use that in everything, everything in life. There's always that one. You think everything's great and fantastic and hunky-dory, and there's always that one. I'm gonna make a t-shirt. There's always that one. You know what I mean? What do you think? Would you guys buy the t-shirt? I think you should. Speaking of t-shirts, I have been working on merch. Yes, it's official. Let me make that announcement right now. I'm working on some merch. I'm going to do some t-shirts, going to do some decals. I was thinking about it the other day, and Ben from Small Town Mentality sent me a message on Twitter, and he's got a friend of his that does the decaling and stickers. So I'm probably going to put an order in for some decals. If anybody's interested, hit me up, comments. Let me know if you guys are interested in some decals, and I'll get some made up. You know what I mean? I'll throw some at you. I mean, maybe if you just guys send me an email and an address, I will ship some out on the house. I mean, I don't know how many, depending on how much they cost, but if you guys are willing to support them, I'm willing to send them out. So shoot me a message. Let me know if you guys are interested. It'd be something maybe along the lines of just like, if you look at the logo, the Bobby Kudo Show, it'd probably say the Bobby Kudo Show. I'll post out a picture, and it's in a modern text, and I think it'll look really, really cool, and it'll just say thebobbykudo.show.com. And it'll be in white, whatever color. I mean, who cares? Just let me know. Just write me an email. Tell me, what color. Tell me the vehicle too, because I don't want to make it too big. You know what I mean? I make it, just small enough, but big enough so that you can see it. I'd love to do that. So that'd be like the introduction into the merchandising for the podcast. I mean, I'm dying to get a t-shirt. I'm a t-shirt guy. If anybody knows me, I love t-shirts. I collect them. Christmas time, my birthday. Any holiday that comes around, somebody's buying me a t-shirt, and I just absolutely love to have them. My current issue with t-shirts is that I have too many. I got way too many t-shirts, and I got no place to put them. So we've come up with this idea. I'm going to use one of those. We watched it. It was on that TV station there, TBD. If you guys have a chance to watch that channel, it's absolutely hilarious. I find myself watching it. The whole time I'm watching, I'm like, and because it's tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And I say tragedy, I don't mean like somebody falling off a skateboard or somebody falling down the stairs or somebody falling down an escalator. They always get up after, but it's just terrible to watch. So I don't know if you guys catch that channel, but it's TBD. When you turn it on, you can't shut it off. Like I find myself like just mesmerized. I have to watch the whole thing. Give that a shot and take a look because it'll absolutely blow your mind. But in bringing that up, the merch, I want to get some cool t-shirts. I'd like to get some stuff made, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Please let me know if you guys are interested. I'm going to order some for myself. I know that there are ways to set up kind of campaigns, and you guys could order the stuff off the website. I'll work on that right now. I'm really just trying to, again, guys, I will always tell you that the podcast and the content of the podcast is number one priority to me. I'm not in this for the money. I'm really in it because I love it. I enjoy it. The idea that you are all listening to me is all I need. I absolutely love the fact that I am reaching people and having some type of impact, whether it just be listening. If you guys are listening to the entirety of the show, that's amazing. That's amazing to me. So I'm humbled by that, and I want to continue to do it. So let's get some t-shirts, maybe some hats made up. Who knows? And maybe some baby stuff, right? I can throw a little onesie on the baby, right? A little Bobby Kudo Show onesie. I think that'd be fantastic. Why not? You know what? I'm going to get one for Penelope. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to do that first. You know what? Be on the lookout for a post with my granddaughter Penelope sporting the Bobby Kudo Show merch, huh? Then you're going to want some. You're not going to be able to help yourself. You guys will be on the website. Send them over. And I'll be more than happy to do that. So, guys, with that said, I'm going to sign out. Episode 11 has come to an end. And I just want to thank you all for lending me your ear. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And, guys, hit us up. Again, Instagram, on Twitter, the website, thebobbykudoshow.com. We also email. Please hit us up on email. I got that one email from Ron, which was fantastic. I read that on the podcast. And I haven't got any more emails. I'm kind of wondering, like, you guys don't want to talk to me, or I don't know. I kind of feel left out. Shoot me an email. Say something. Say something. You want a free t-shirt? Send me an email. Yeah? Maybe send me, no, I was going to say send me I'm not even going to say it out loud because you probably would, you pervs. Send me nothing other than your information and your address and tell me you love the show, and I'll send you guys a t-shirt. How's that sound? So with that said, guys, I want to thank you all for sticking around. Just going a little over an hour on this one, episode 11 again, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to Drama City Productions for your continued support. Delvin Cox, fantastic. I mean, everybody. I hate to mention names because everybody's been so great, and I don't want to forget anybody. But Small Town Mentality, Bad Bitches, like all you guys are just awesome. I'm so grateful. Everybody is so helpful, and it's just really making this such a pleasure to do this for you guys. It really does. And when I'm able to share and talk to these people and really just bounce off ideas and different types. I'm talking about doing different stuff, guys. I'm talking about bringing some guests in remotely, live feeds, streaming them in, from other locations, and having the ability to talk to pretty much anybody. So be on the lookout for that. I have a sneaky suspicion Delvin's going to be coming on the show. He's absolutely fantastic, and he responds to everything I ask him. He is such a pivotal part of what I'm doing here, because without that kind of support and help, you kind of sometimes you're not so sure what you're doing. He's been right there along the way, and I listen to him all the time. He just had an awesome interview on his last podcast with Lena, and it was fantastic. What a great job, man. You're doing good work over there. I could hope to get to that point, but be on the lookout for that, guys. And the other thing I want to look out for too is we have a special guest coming on the show. And I say special guest because it's based on content that we talked about before. If we go back to the episode Xfinity and Beyond, I mentioned talking about the union and what that meant to me, and how that affected my life and how it affected my career. Well, it just so happens that an individual from Comcast will be sitting down with me. He wants to come into the studio, do an in studio interview. Although I do suspect a lot of it will be a lot of questions for me. I do have a lot of questions for him. Him and I worked together for quite some time. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if him and I ever got I'm not sure him and I were really best buddies. I don't think we got along all that well. I think we both respected each other. I continue to respect him very much now, more so ever than ever before. But at the time, I got to be honest with you guys. When I was working there, I'm just going to kind of set this up. When I was working there, he was a problem. He was absolutely a problem, and I want you guys to just kind of put yourself in the situation. Me as a supervisor, and in the fight of trying to keep the union from getting in, this individual had a lot of momentum, and really was the driving catalyst for the union at our office. So of course there's going to be animosity there. You're trying to do what I'm trying to prevent. So really, and it's almost you're both trying to do the same thing, and you're on opposing sides. So hats off to him, because he really, to this day, he's very influential. He is respected by his peers, and I look forward to sitting down and talking to him, and really just talking about a lot of things. I don't want to talk about just the union stuff. I want to talk about some cool stuff. I want to talk about the fact that he might have thought that I might have liked his girlfriend, and I didn't. And I happen to know her, and we kind of worked together, and I'd be in there sometimes, and he'd come in, and it was pretty clear that they were that they had feelings for each other, which was great. I mean, I had my wife, and I wasn't interested in any way, shape, or form. But again, sometimes people get a little cuckoo, and I think Brian might have had a little cuckoo in him at that time. Did I just say his name? Oh, I didn't mean to say his name. Yes, I did. So I'm looking forward to seeing him come on the show, talking to him, sharing his information with you guys. I know he's excited to come on the show. I'm super excited. We were supposed to do it today, and unfortunately there was some mechanical issues, and he just couldn't make it out. The funny thing was, I actually offered to go pick him up, but I told him, listen, I'll come pick you up, but we can't talk. So the idea is I want to get him totally raw. I haven't spoken to Brian. It's been a couple of years. So I expect that this is really going to be fiery. I expect that it's going to be really, really interesting. And it's really going to be an episode you're not going to want to miss. So be on the lookout. I expect episode 12 will be with him. And maybe we can look at episode 13 for Steve. Steve, if you're interested, buddy, I know that you and I have been, kind of communicating back and forth. Let's get a solid date in, and let's do this, man. Let's sit down and spend some time together and have some conversation. Steve, I miss you like hell, buddy, and I'd love to just talk to you. I know a lot of my fans are 2A fans. So, or even have questions about it. Even if you don't know about your Second Amendment rights and how to go about getting your license to carry or some of the laws, and he'd be the guy. He's the one you wanna. He's the one you want to mine for that information. So, prior to him coming on, once I get a commitment from him, what I'll probably do is I'll probably put some information on the website, Twitter, and Instagram. Maybe get some questions out there. Maybe you guys can email in some questions that you might have about Second Amendment, the process of what it means, what are some of the rules, where you can carry, where you can't carry. I tell you guys, you don't realize it until you actually you have a firearm on you, and you've got to go out and you got to try to really just think about where you're going, what you're doing, and how it's going to affect what you're doing, especially if you're carrying a firearm. So especially in this climate, man, you just can't go anywhere. Somebody sees you carrying that thing, forget it, man. The cops are coming for you, right? The cops are coming. So that's it, guys. Listen, I just wanted to kind of set that up a little bit. I will just be on the lookout on the social media. I will talk about it. I'll get it all out there. I'll make sure that you guys know what is happening when it comes. But also be on the lookout for the merch. I cannot wait to get that all out there. You guys will also notice, I'll make a quick little one and then I'm going to kind of drop out here. But you guys will notice that the Bobby Kudo Show logo has gone all pink in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I myself personally have been affected by it. Family members, people that are very near and dear to me, friends, close friends who are struggling with it now, that are in remission. There are some of the strongest women that I have ever met in my life, and people that really truly appreciate life every day. Because they know that how precious and how easy it is to give up, and they never do, and they inspire me, and they should inspire you. So to all you women out there who are listening and who are not listening, everyone, you're in our prayers, and we support you, and whatever it is that needs to be done will be done, in hopes that we can find a cure and better solutions to that's this devastating disease that takes so many beautiful lives. I will tell you that on my personal Instagram, I don't share that with everybody. It's a private account. Nora was someone that I was following for a couple of years. I didn't know her personally. But I did know her, and I did find her because I had posted a breast cancer awareness. I usually typically do it in October, a ribbon on my Instagram, and she ended up requesting to follow me, and I followed her, and I just kind of followed her journey through cancer, not specifically breast cancer, but she had a form of cancer, and she lost that battle on Friday. So. Very sad. I feel bad for her. My deepest condolences to her and her family. It's such a tragedy to lose somebody that way. And I will tell you, she was a fighter. She fought the whole way. And it was so inspiring for me to watch her go through that journey. She made some specific choices, one being no chemo. So she did fight it. She went all natural. And she really did fight for a really, really long time. But unfortunately, that battle has come to an end, and I am sorry to say that, again, she's no longer with us, but she's in my Instagram. I have those pictures there, and I have spoken with her daughter. I should say text. I just sent them a message, sending my condolences to her daughter, in hopes that they're okay over there. So, guys, just reach over, hug the person on the side of you right now. And wish them all the best, because we're all in this together. We may not get along all the time, and we may have different ideas and different opinions, and some of us want things that others don't, and some of us don't want things that others want, and that's okay. I think that's what makes the world go round. I think that's what makes us all unique and different. But it's when we start criticizing ourselves or I should say criticizing others for what they enjoy. I think that's where we get into that slippery slope. So I encourage you all to take a big bite of that apple and enjoy that fruit of life, because at any moment, I never want to end. I never want to go out on a bad note or a sad note. But I've lost a couple of people recently in my life, and some of them that weren't even on the radar. That shouldn't have. It should still be here with us today. That are just too young. Not that anybody deserves to go or should go at any moment or any time. But you always struggle more when it's people that are much younger. On that note, happy birthday to one of my, if not my best friend, Steve Ledwell. It is his birthday today. And I am so proud to know him. I'm so glad to have him in my life. In the time that I've known him, he's one of the people that have shown me that I can be who I am, that I can make it through the weeds, that there is light at the other end, that it's not all bad, it's not all work, it's not all bills, and there is time there, and there is moments that you can share and appreciate with other people. And I really appreciate him because, one, he's been around for a long time, and his experiences, the stories that he tells me, and I would love to share those with you guys. I almost want to write this stuff down. I almost want to write it down because it's unbelievable. So, with that said, I think that that's a positive note. I think we wish Stevie a happy birthday. I think Stevie needs to know that he has impacted my life and has been such a positive force in my life, and I appreciate him and love him very much, as I do all of you. I love you all. I think you are all inspiring me every day. You're driving me to come on here and speak my mind and offer what it is I think I can offer. So I thank you all, and I love you. I love you. Okay, I want you to all know that. And so with that said, you guys, I hope to catch you on episode 12. Be looking forward to that dropping soon. Like I said, we got some guests coming in. We've got some momentum. We've got some traction. It's absolutely amazing to me that people want to come on the show, that people are looking for the time, that people want to use this as a platform to maybe say something, express something. I'm really excited by that. So be on the lookout for that, guys. And I really want to say thank you to everybody again. I know I keep repeating myself when I say it, but I honestly mean it from the bottom of my heart, guys. I thank you all so very, very much for giving me the ability to come on here and say what it is I am saying. I hope that your week is bountiful and fruitful and rewarding, and I hope to catch you next week, maybe in the middle of the week. Who knows? Like I tell you what, as soon as I can get one of these guys in the studio, I'll drop it right away. I won't hold it. So tell you guys, you know who he is. You know who he is. You guys are listening. You know who he is. Get a hold of him. Get him on the phone and tell him to get his ass in here. Like, I got a chair, I got a microphone, and I want to talk to him. So bring him in. You guys want to know, right? You want to know, right? Tell me you want to know. I got a lot of shit to tell you. I got some deep, dark secrets about Comcast that I want to share with you. But you got to get him in here. He's got to ask the questions. All right? All right, guys. So listen. Merch. Be on the lookout. Email me. Let me know if you guys are interested in some t-shirts, whatever it is. But I can tell you right now, I'm getting myself a onesie for Penelope, and I will make sure I get a picture of that and I will post it. But up until then, guys, I want to thank you all one more time as I stroll out here and say that you guys are amazing, the most amazing fans in the world. And just I want you to remember, guys, all roads lead here.